if things had just gone a little bit the other way, both companies would be dead. And I like one of the most difficult choices I have ever faced in life was in 2008. I think I had maybe $30 million left, or $30 or $40 million left in 2008. And I had two choices. I could put it all into one company, and then the other company would definitely die, or split it between the two companies. But if I split it between the two companies, then both might die. And when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating something, or building something, it's like a child. And so it's like, which one am I going to let one starve to death? I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I split the money between the two. Fortunately, thank goodness, they both came through. So as I said, for SpaceX, the first 3 launches failed. We actually were just barely able to scrape together enough parts and money to do the 4th launch. If that 4th launch had failed, we would have been dead. So multiple failures along the way. I tried very hard to get the right expertise in for SpaceX. I tried hard to find a great chief engineer for the rocket, but the good chief engineers wouldn't join, and the bad ones, well, there was no point in hiring them. So I ended up being chief engineer of the rocket. So if I could have found somebody better, then we would have maybe had less than 3 failures. I think, wishful thinking for sure is a source of many problems in many walks of life. Business or personal wishful thinking causes a lot of trouble. You really have to ask, whether something is true or not. Does it make sense?
We've gone through many difficult times. Tesla has come close to bankruptcy, I don't know, maybe half a dozen times over its life. And actually, probably the most serious one was 2008 and 2009, because Tesla was just a very small company making, in low volume, a sports car that was kind of expensive, and it was basically the only electric car being built at the time. So it was very difficult to get customers and very difficult to get investors. And although I had money from PayPal, I had actually run out of the money from PayPal. So I personally had no money left. In fact, I had to borrow money from friends to pay the rent. I didn't even have a house. So it was pretty intense. And like in that case, we actually raised the money to keep the company going on Christmas Eve of 2008. And that was the last hour of the last day that it was possible to raise money. And if that call had not gone well, then we would have gone bankrupt. That was pretty intense. And then the next most intense time was, the 2018, 2019, when we were struggling to get the Model 3 to volume production. And so we were really in a very tough situation. Because the thing that's, I think a lot of people don't fully appreciate is that while it's actually relatively easy to come up with prototypes and show cars, it is very difficult to achieve volume manufacturing. The notable thing I think about Tesla is not so much that Tesla made electric cars, because others have made electric cars, but rather that Tesla was able to achieve volume manufacturing, I think, as the first US company to achieve volume manufacturing in 100 years, after Chrysler in the 20s. So the difficulty of this cannot be overstated. Production is staggeringly hard, and I have a great deal of respect for companies and people that are able to do volume production and make good products and actually be prosperous. It's very difficult. It's just one thing after another. And I'd say probably the longest extended period of pain that I've had is from 2017 to 2019.